on game drive with us this afternoon. My name's Brent, and I've got Romeo on camera, and I've got a fly on my forehead according to Romeo. And then Scott and VM are on the other vehicle, and Nix is in final control. For those of you who weren't with us this morning, the Kunyuma was found with a diker kill. I'm sure Scott's going to go and check on that a little bit later. And there was also the one Matimba male. We tracked him quite a bit after drive this morning, and he changed his direction completely and started heading south, even though he was heading north. So we're going to go see where we've lost the last tracks at about 9:30, and see if we can find him. Other than that, for those of you who are new to Safari Live, we are literally live from Djuma Private Game Reserve in South Africa, by a few seconds of streaming or buffering or whatever the technical people call it. I'm not a technical person, I just look for animals. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoy, and let's go see what we can find. Three stations around Kunyuma, and so the last tracks of that male line we had were just down here. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to check, because it's been a couple of hours, so we actually went to a rangers meeting today for the whole northern Sabi Sands, and we got some quite interesting information to why that line suddenly changed direction. He was going north, heading straight for Buffelshoek, and it suddenly changed around. And I know those who were with Scott this morning would have heard him vocalizing. So he was roaring, but apparently two of the Styx lionesses were heading this direction and roaring as well. So it's possible he turned around and made his way towards the two Styx lionesses. So what we're hoping is maybe they converge somewhere on Djuma. So we're going to be checking for tracks along Twin Dams, and then on Gowrie Main, to up around Weaver's Nest Treehouse. Here we go. As you guys can see, there's a little dwarf mongoose. There's a couple of them around, and they've got some yellow-billed hornbills with them as well. So he's just watching us carefully there. Quite often you'll find a few different bird species will follow the dwarf mongoose around. And what they do is the insects that are flushed by the mongooses as they move through the grass, the birds will take advantage of that and catch them. He's coming out into the open. They are very, very, very cute little things. Itchy leg. Amazing little animals. Oh, he might pop up. He's walking up along the log there. Very, very sweet. Yeah, I can hear others around. For those of you who are wondering what that little clicking is, it's just my camera. There we go. And there's a third one on its way. Fourth. Little. So let's see who's awake and ready for a question. So, what is the original collective noun for mongoose? What is the original collective noun for mongoose? And you can send your answers to questions@WildEarthTV or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. You can see very social animals, so grooming is very, very important in terms of affirming bonds between them. And I nearly said what that collective noun was there. I had to stop myself. There we go. There's a perfect example in the back. You just saw that hornbill drop in of a mongoose disturbing a grasshopper or another insect, and the hornbill pouncing and taking the opportunity. Which also works in the mongoose's favor, as the birds do act as an extra lookout for predators for them. Oh, that was a nice little start. They are definitely one of my favorite smaller animals we see here out on drive. So information we got from the other ranges is quite useful as to figure out where and why that male lion turned around. So it gives us a nice iteration to start looking in already. Sightings and having a good line of communication is beneficial to all. Copy next. I have no idea why it should be like that. This is a problem with the vehicle again. So apparently the screen is it is horizontal. Negative. Negative. Correct. So that information we got from the other rangers said that those two sticks lionesses were in the next door property, pretty much opposite Weaver's Nest, calling. So I'm guessing he might have cut through the block here. That's why we're going to check up towards Weaver's Nest Road. I just wanted to make sure he hadn't come straight back south down Twin Dams, and there are no tracks there. We definitely have a quick look at that, because I don't think we're going to see them for too much longer, and they've stopped calling, and I'm not even going to bother asking you guys what it is, because I know I'll be told the question's too easy. But for the new viewers out there, that's a woodlands kingfisher. We're only probably going to see them around for the next couple of weeks before they move off, before we get cold and they head up to Central Africa for our winter. Apparently there's a lot of questions about the Kunyuma pride, who we do know killed a giraffe this morning in Buffelshoek. Unfortunately, we are not able, that is outside of our Travis area, but it is good for them. But from our point of view, it means they're probably not going to be moving this side for quite a while, because they'll probably be on that carcass for well over a week, 4, 5 days, 6 days, they're going to be feeding off that giraffe. I'm not sure whether it was a male giraffe or a female giraffe, but I don't think they're going to be moving too much from that position. As far as I know, there's also one of the Matimba coalition there, and then there's also, quite interestingly, from the last update I heard, 3 members of the Torchwood Pride also on that. Well, that means that's possible that the Torchwood Pride and then Djuma Pride, somewhere in the past, I'm not sure of their history so much, well, one of them is a split of the other at some point. So the fact that they're tolerating the 3 lionesses from the Torchwood Pride on that carcass. And trust me guys, if we were allowed to go there, we would have already been there this afternoon. I would have been there in a flash. Go ahead. And so a lot of you guys said band of mongoose. Unfortunately, that wasn't correct. 6 of you got it right. Helen, Diane, Chris, Vicky, Doris, and RC. You guys all got it right. It is a business of mongoose. Is the original sort of colonial collective noun for mongoose. A business. So we're at Treehouse Dam, and there's some buffalo bulls here, and which means we're going to be covered in flies quite shortly. If we get a close-up on the boss of either of them, right's better. You can see the colour on his boss there. That's from rubbing up with the reddish colour there, probably against guarri and tambuti trees. There's a couple of theories on why they do that. It is possible that it makes them look a little bit more impressive and scary to predators and other buffalo. Also, I think they just like a good scratch. And if you have a close-up on this guy's face here, please, you actually see that it looks like his skin is moving with the amount of flies, and his face has the least amount of flies that he has on his body. Okay. There's also, a nice kudu bull. Let me just move forward. Kudu bull looks like he's moving down towards the water, possibly. No, he just popped out, disappear there. So we don't have any lion tracks here yet, but there have been quite a lot of vehicles on all the roads today. It is possible they have been driven over, or we've missed them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just triple check. I'm going to go up to Shibam Road and then onto Gauri Main, and then I'm going to go very, very slowly down Gauri Main to make sure that no tracks crossing out of Djuma. And if that's the case, then we will go back to the last tracks of that male line and start again. Even though it is a few hours We are a few hours behind. We all know how lazy lions can be, so hopefully the goals weren't too enticing and he ran out of steam somewhere during the day and decided to have a snooze en route. Good afternoon, Tina. Welcome on Drive with us this afternoon. Tina would like to know, I'm presuming once the kingfishers leave, when is the next time they'll be back? And it'll probably be November, probably I don't know, I guess, between the 10th and the 20th of November this year is when the next time the woodlands will be back. Anywhere between the 10th and the 20th. There's quite a lot of bets that goes on the exact date they arrive, and I think that also varies through different areas. Just bear with me a second. I'm just going to go a little bit quickly for a second to try lose some of our friends we picked up at the buffaloes. And it did not work, of course. Wondering whether it's worth giving the wild sage another go. We did try it. It wasn't that effective, unfortunately. Spotted Romeo. Let's just go around. Romeo spotted some elephants off to the right. Let's just have a look where the best place to view them is. Romeo's favorite animal. Oh, some little ones there as well. Oh, there's some more to the left. Love, Junction Shabam, and Treehouse. A cheeky little youngster, trying to be impressive. Copy. So how many can I see? There's one, let's just go to this guy on the left here. Okay. So you can see it's just a little bit further away from the sort of main nucleus of the herd. Maybe I can even talk about him. And so it's a teenage bull. It's been pushed slightly to the edge. At that sort of age, they are quite often pushed completely out of the breeding herds. So they tend to have too much testosterone and start causing lots of problems, chasing things around, making lots of noise. And that, at a stage, the adult cows in the group will just say enough's enough and then chase them off. Head. Nice relaxed herd, far more concerned with feeding them with us. Go left. Sounds perfect. So guys, we're just gonna cross over to Scott quickly so he can wish you a good afternoon. We're gonna stay right here with the Ellies and see what they get up to. So we will catch up with you a bit later. So over to Scott.
Good afternoon everyone, and welcome on board with myself, VM and Steph. So, as you can see, this leopard we're looking at is fast asleep, and you can very vaguely see that his belly is also quite full, and that's because he's been feeding on a baboon until probably late last night. And then in the early hours of this morning, probably around 6:15, he managed to catch himself a duiker, which is a small antelope. He didn't feed on it at all this morning. Oh, they do have pests, and it appears like possibly a flea that bothered him there. So at least we got a little bit of action out of him. There was a vehicle that came out on drive early this afternoon, and they did see him feeding on the duiker, and he's just come down from the tree. Nobody else could maneuver their vehicles into this position, so we've just found him here. And because we know he has fed very recently, I'm thinking that we're probably going to come back here a little bit later, maybe at around 6:30 this evening, and hope that at that stage he decides to feed again. But for us to spend the whole afternoon here, I think we would be missing out on other opportunities to show you so many other different and interesting animals that are out here. So we will probably give it another 10 or 15 minutes just to make sure he doesn't change his mind or reposition to a better view. But if he doesn't change, then we're going to move out and go and look for something else. There's more leopard another lion that we think has headed back into our property. He was very close to our border this morning, and had good fun tracking him after our last visual that we had with him this morning. So there is also a large male lion floating around that we can help look for, and so much else. So just to give you a quick update on Kunyuma, this young male leopard. But as you would have seen here, the vegetation here is very thick, and this is the best possible view we have of him at the moment. So folks, I think it's time to head back to Brent and the elephant sighting, and we'll catch up with you a little bit later.
Welcome back. We're still with the Ellies. They're slowly moving and feeding. Phil coming. Scott is the station that is with that Ingwe. Good afternoon, Diane from Texas. Diane would like to know how much nutrients can an elephant get from this dry grass. Well, let me try to find it. It depends on the species of grass, Diane, but they will still be able to get quite a lot of nutrients from the grass. It might look dry and dead to us, but if I don't know if you can you use that too close for you.
Which one?
This tall one here. It's the easiest to see. And I need to be halfway down it, more or less. See there. So Diane, if you can see, even though the tops where the seeds and stuff are still quite dry, the middle and bottom part is still greenish, so there is still some nutrients in. And they will take advantage of the grass while they can. And as it dries up, then they will start relying more heavily on browse. Although it is noticeable they are eating more trees and bushes than they were, say, 3 months ago, because there is some grass that is completely dry already. I'm just going to move around, do a nice big circle around them. You never really want to drive at an animal, you always want to drive across the face of them, because driving at animals can make them feel quite threatened. Sorry, I'm just having a quick look at some tracks here. Leopard tracks, but they're quite old. Yeah.
I prefer Kunyuma.
No one there. I think you can go for it. I think Aubrey was going to check.
What do they browse predominantly in this area?
They browse lots of different things, quite a few of the acacia species, as well as the buffalo thorn, the younger Dicrostachys. And as the browse choice gets limited, they will eat bush willow and terminalia, but not by first choice. So I'm sitting there ruminating, so I don't want to disturb him, so I'm going to find another route to get back towards those ellies. Is that from you? We got a question from Nikki in FC. Is it normal for him to be lying down? Quite often during the heat of the day and in the afternoon, once they've fed a lot, most of your ruminants are quite happy to lie down, rest, and chew the cud. So what they'll do is they will bring food back up from their stomach and re-chew it to make sure they get the most amount of nutrients out of it possible. And that's why when you look at dung, which maybe we can do a little bit later once we finish the eddies, I can find you a hindgut fermenter's dung, or a non-ruminant's dung, and then show you a ruminant's dung as well. See the difference. These ellies are starting to move into a bit of a thicker area, and there's no real reason to follow them. We could just start disturbing them if we keep following them. You can already see one or two of the younger females were starting to show a little bit of signs of being a little bit, not annoyed, but sort of not 100% happy with us. And we had such a nice sighting when they're out in the open and they walk very close to us. So there's no need to put undue stress on the animals. So I'm going to leave them be and carry on and see what else we can find. Starting with poo. We okay there? Leaving that ambient Lowville slowly mobile west from the junction of Shibam Road and Treehouse. Yeah, so negative, Scott. What I did is after that information from the Rangers meeting about those my fuzzies calling this side, I just decided to come around, check Treehouse up to Djuma, and I'm just going down Gari Main very, very slowly to see if I find any tracks either coming in or going out. Copy, thanks. So this is the nice thing about having two vehicles, we can work as a team. We're checking now that to make sure that they haven't crossed the six lionesses might have crossed in, or that Matimba might have crossed out, and Scott's going to go back to the last tracks and start there and work back towards us. So essentially that does make it much easier for us to find animals, because we cut the time in half. So if we had to check all of this, then still go back to the last tracks and start again, it would take a lot longer. But these access roads, because they're used by deliveries and transfer vehicles and stuff, can be quite difficult to see tracks on, because a lot of the people utilizing them aren't looking for tracks. The clouds have come in early this afternoon, but they are quite high. Oh, did I stop? Turn off the engine too early. Come. Over there, thump.
Get out and push.
There we go. Njani, avukile mfo.
www.wildsafari.com.
Yes, that is us. WildEarthTV. How's everyone doing?
www.wildsafari.com.
Yes, that's on the National Geographic site, or www.wildearth.tv. Wild Earth.
Wild Earth.
Yeah.
And you see this elephant. Yeah. See, a driver sitting there. An elephant was like.
Wasn't me. Wasn't me. Did you?
Was you? Serious?
Yeah, it was him. He was the cameraman there. Did you book any Ngalan Konzum for?
There are two mafazis here.
Close.
So there are two my daughters. Went on this side.
One Matimba's in Buffelshoek, and the other one, last tracks we have was in the Murati.
And we need them.
Yeah, that's why I'm going steady, because now the other Galaf, Bambad and Pyramid, they're not going to be coming for a long time. And Torchwood, they're sharing the...
How many of the Torchwood?
The three big Mafazis and all the Nkomas and one Matimba.
Serious?
All that side. Kaimanzi. Good luck.
Okay, have a good luck.
Good. Romeo, can you see it? Do you think the camera will reach?
Yeah, we can try.
Oh, it's going. There's an elephant miles down the road. And he's gone.
Is that a lone bull?
Difficult to say from this distance. I mean, he was a good kilometer from us. So I heard this 2 sticks lionesses are still in Little Gowrie this side, opposite Weaver's Nest Road, which is coming up now. So I'm just going to update Scott. Good afternoon, Stella from Michigan. Stella says she's never seen oxpeckers on elephants. Do oxpeckers only like to feed on animals with fur? Stella, I have seen the oxpeckers on elephants, but it is quite unusual. They don't only like to feed on animals with fur, because they do feed on rhino and hippopotamus quite regularly. Not that. I think the most thing is that elephants are very mobile, which makes it quite difficult for the oxpeckers, because they're always on the move, and when they feed, there's quite a lot of movement. So it makes it more difficult for the oxpeckers to feed. Scott, do you copy? Just a report from one of the Chitwa vehicles. Those 2 sticks lionesses are still on Little Gowrie about, I think he said about 500-600 meters in Little Gowrie, opposite the Weaver's Nest junction. I've still got no tracks coming out. I'm at Weaver's Nest now. Scott. Update from Chitwa vehicle. Those 2 sticks, more fuzzies, are still in Little Gowrie, about 500 meters from Gowrie Main. Just past Weaver's Nest, there's still no tracks of that Madoda crossing. Bad news, guys. Bad news. I'm going to move so you can see what I'm looking at. Show you what I'm looking at now. Can you get it from there? Romeo. I'll show you now.
Oh, the giant footprint of it.
Yes, the giant line footprint crossing the road. It's a good place to start. There's the other one there. So I don't know if you guys can see here. I was hoping you'd growl at me, and then at least we'd have a quick view of them. Okay, I don't know if you guys can hear me from there. How's it? Good? So you can see here is the male line print. Even though it's on the edge of the road like this, and the edges have been blown over by dust and that, it's definitely from today. And he's crossed our southern boundary. Unfortunately, he's gone looking for ladies. Can't blame him about that. Got coming. Scott. Copy. When you see him back on the vehicle, ask him to call me. Oh, sorry. Wrong radio. When you see him back on the vehicle, please ask him to call me. Afternoon. My Tumba just crossed here. The Nkonzo. Sometime during the day. Cheers, enjoy. Stations Nkonzo of that Madora Ngala has crossed south, just to the west of Twin Dams junction with Gary Main. I'm going to be leaving the area. Copy, no worries. As soon as they're back on the vehicle, just let me know if I can tell them, or you can tell them. Okay, it's just crossed. I feel like some drainage line in my life. Maybe I haven't seen Quarantine for a while. Maybe he's arrived. Come visiting from next door. See if we can find new tracks. Maybe head up towards Mumba Road, and then maybe slowly work our way towards Buffelshoek Dam. Good afternoon, Betty. Welcome on Drive with us. Betty would like to know how cold it has to get to get rid of the flies. Or throughout the year there will be some flies, but during the colder months, there are just a lot less of them. Oh, it's jumping around there. Just sorry. Not sitting. There's a Birchall's cuckoo, but it's not being very. Scott, do you copy?
Let it go.
Is he gone?
Can't see him.
He's disappeared into the back there, unfortunately. Scott? Scott, you are there? Gonzo that my daughter has crossed about 50 to 60 meters to the west of Twin Dams Junction with Gary Main. I'm in the Mawati now. I'm just stand by. I think I've got some Ingwe and Gonzo. But 2 stations already checked. Hindley and site's not active. My plan was to head up the Mawati to Mamba and then slowly make my way towards Buffalo's Hook. Maybe try catch that breeding herd that was heading in that direction. Go ahead. Scott, do you copy? Stations to check the inner den, it's not active. I'm gonna probably head towards Buffalo's Hook Dam, try to get there before there's a breeding herd and heading in that general direction. I'm in the Mawati, but I'll take Mamba Road up towards Cheetah Cut Line, or actually up towards Charlesburger.
Can you reverse?
Reverse.
Yeah.
Charlie. Good afternoon, welcome on Drive. Charlie would like to know, even though... More?
A little bit more.
Tomorrow is Easter Sunday. Will there still be Drive? Charlie, definitely not. We're going to be gorging ourselves on Easter eggs and we'll just be in a chocolate stupor.
Can you reverse a bit more, please?
No, I'm joking. Of course, there will be drives tomorrow, as normal.
Back on screen. Yes. You've got control, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's going to be better from the other side of him.
Yeah.
I'm just going to turn the vehicle around so we can get a good view of that little vervet monkey. So it looks like what they're doing, so that's probably, I think, the best we're going to. So what it looks like the monkey's doing is it's chewing on this acacia, it looks like it's chewing gum. Nice camera work, Romeo. So quite a few different primate species will utilize gum from different species of trees. Bush babies also. And they'll have certain spots that they chew on quite regularly. It's difficult to see, but it does look like she is after bits of gum that are coming out of the tree. There's a couple of them doing it, there's some others. Another nice animal to spend time with because they are quite busy. Whoops. How's that? Jump and catch upside down. Whoops, broken branch. Oh, there's another one coming. They're coming down the middle of the trunk, little guy, tiny ones, coming to getting a little bit inquisitive, coming to have a look at us. All of them are moving down the tree. Look at the little one. Chop, chop, chop. Running between the different trees to where they feel safe again. Don't want to spend too much time on the ground if they can help it without a tree close by. Oh, that was fun. Hey guys, we're going to cross over to Scott, see how he's doing and what he's got, and we'll catch up with you guys again a little bit later.
Crossing out, but well done to Brent for finding those tracks, because had he have not found those tracks, we would have been following the tracks and we would have only eventually found that he crossed. So Brent's plan to loop ahead and check the direction that he was heading in was a great example of clever tracking. The time to find each individual footprints and maintain and monitor where it moves. So well done to Brent for that. And now that the lion's gone and leopard's still sleeping, we have decided to head off to something a little bit different. We found a nest, a bird's nest. 3 days ago, I think, that we saw the nest for the first time, and it's a very interesting bird's nest because they nest on the ground with just a mere very shallow scrape. There's no nesting material and the eggs are very cryptically camouflaged. Now, 3 or 4 days ago when we were last there were 3 eggs in the nest. However, last night as we drove past, while Brent was enjoying the incredible sight we could bump into anything along the way. And here is our first actor for the drive. And this is a very common bird, and the problem with common animals is that sometimes we overlook them. Because they are numerous, we don't take them, we kind of take them for granted. This is called a, well, I'm going to leave this one up to you. So, if you guys think you know which little bird this is, you can send your answers through to Nikki and then she'll relay it to me. It's a seed eater, so quite a good time of year for it because a lot of the seeds from the grass are beginning to fall off as they dry. Many famous African bird calls, but it's certainly a bird call associated with that. That's affirmative. It's called does have a rhyme, but many do. So Nikki's just asked from the final control whether its call has a rhyme. And Nikki would like me to sing the rhyme, but I'm not going to sing the rhyme until I've got a few answers because that will make it too easy. Something to share with you that may be new to the Safari Live experience is it's important to realize that there are big gaps on drives for where you may not see mammals or high profile game that everyone does hope to see. And in those quieter times, it's important to be able to stop and take in other animals and scenery and trees. So it seems like this is a good opportunity where there's not too much else going on, that we can stop and enjoy the other animals and flora that occur in this area. First is preferable, but so just give me the first 3 that get that, and yeah, that is good. Let me know the first 3. Well done to Raisa and Ray and Gail, who were the first 3 on email. Victor, Margaret, Rosie and Rita, well done to all of you. And the correct answer was a Cape turtle dove. Quite a few of you said Cape dove, which is kind of half a mark, so the official name is the Cape turtle dove. And what I'll do is the next time I hear one of them calling, I'll stop and let you hear their call. But there's two different rhymes, or many I guess, but one of them is work harder, and the other is drink lager, drink lager. So depending on your preferences or the time of day, there's two different rhymes that are applicable. And who knows, maybe even tonight we'll hear them calling. Sometimes when it is full moon, the birds continue to call late into the night. And it really is magical being out in an area like this, because the moon is so bright with so little pollution in the area. You can see clear enough to drive without any headlights. So this evening may not be the case though, because it's overcast, so a pity, but that may clear up. So evidently I need to find a trickier bird for you to identify, and I'll be searching for that. The tough thing with birds is that we often stop and try and show them to you, but they fly. Also, just to keep you updated on my plans for after what we are doing here, I'm hoping to head back to Kunyuma. Possibly Brent could head back there depending on who's closer, but one of us will certainly aim to get there at around 6:30 and bunker down and hope that he gets active again, because sadly where he was lying when we last saw him, it was not the best visual. So as you can see, we've got some impala up ahead of us. Signs of the rutting excitement, and it was 3 days ago that for the first time I've heard impala rutting this season. They make a loud gurgling roar, and within this patch of prime real estate, the ladies will come for safety purposes, for feeding purposes, and the male who dominates that patch will then have access to all the ladies. Now, it obviously provides, it is going to provide us with some great action of these males fighting one another and chasing one another, letting off this gurgling roar as they do it. But it's also going to potentially provide us with some great predator sightings. What you'll find is the predators learn and are aware that these males who are charged with testosterone, and they only have one thing on their mind, and that is ladies. And due to the lack of focus of other things around them and just fighting with one another, the males, they can often be unaware of predators approaching them. And leopard and lion, who hear this gurgling roar, which can be heard from kilometers away, will head straight in that direction as soon as they hear the impala are fighting, and that way know that there's a potential lucky meal there, or easy meal. because the impala are focused too much on themselves and not their surroundings. So it is a time of year that a lot of impala will lose their lives, especially, well, a lot of male impalas will lose their lives, and we'll notice that that's probably the main animal that will get killed over the next month or so. I was hoping those two males came head to head and kind of thought about showing us a little bit of action, but one was considerably smaller than the other and would have been brave to take it on. You may have also heard a go away bird calling out in the distance. Quang! And that is why they have their name, the go away bird. It sounds like they're saying, go away! Very useful bird in helping us to find predators, as when predators walk past, they often let off that call. Call for us while we're sitting here. Wonderful. Well, judging from the way its crest is lopsided, you can tell that the wind is blowing from right to left. You can also get a great idea of exactly what its call sounds like and what it looks like. Now, in all likelihood at the moment, it is actually telling us to go away. So I don't think there's a predator in the area. Beg your pardon, I am wrong. Steph has just whispered in my ear that there's some dwarf mongoose on the road. So it wasn't bothered with us, and it's a great example of how, if you do take note of the animals that alarm call, they can lead you to interesting sightings. Now, this is a carnivore and one of the smallest in Africa, so sometimes they may lead us to the biggest, to the lion, and others to the smallest. So that's what can make life a little bit tricky when following animals that alarm call. It could be something as small as these dwarf mongoose, or a little snake. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if we can get a little bit closer to the dwarf mongoose, because they really are awesome little creatures, especially if they allow you some time to view them. And sometimes they are relaxed. So let's see what this little band of mongoose has to offer for us. The things I'm looking to... Oh, still a head poking out. Very inquisitive, but cautious at the same time, not taking any chances. It appears that they've already synchronized their plan. One is looking to the back and one is looking to the front. Now, it won't just be the two of them. There could be up to 10 or 20, depending, and the sizes of the bands of mongoose will vary between different areas and different individual families, and often the makeup would be one dominant male and female, and the rest of the clan that will just help out. They are so awesome. Now, even though they're carnivores, being this small, you've got to be very cautious. Oh! It backed out of its original plan and ran back to the safety of this small hole. Now, what may be happening here is that they may not realize that they are being alarm called at, and they may think that the go-away bird is alarming at another predator, like a bird of prey, that could be a threat to them. So, it could well be that they are panicking about alarm calls that are directed at them, and they are incredibly quick. Let's see if the second one follows suit. Have you got it there, Vim? Well done. Vim has miraculously managed to somehow keep an eye on this little critter. And it looks to be foraging now. They eat insects, small and small mammals, as well as snakes. Like most carnivores, they've got a wide diet. But judging by their size, they understandably would typically focus on smaller prey items. Now, if we look across the road, we can see a lot of the female impala, as well as a few young males, but it's predominantly the ladies. And they are going to be creating a lot of excitement, as I said, for the males that were already detached from them. And with some animals like impala, the males will only compete for the females aggressively for kind of a month or so every year. In between that, you may find males that stay with herds of females, but it must be purely for ego, because it certainly doesn't provide anything else other than extra eyes and ears and protection. So you'll typically find the male are all friends for 11 months of the year, and they all stick together in bachelor herds typically. But then for 1 month during the rutting season roughly, they will then start fighting with one another. So interesting dynamics, how animals have got different processes of mating and spending time together. Other antelope will potentially compete for their ladies throughout the year and have a harem of females that they care for and fight for. Okay, so just a few more minutes and we will be at the bird's nest. So, stand by. And just to recap, for those of you who have just joined, there's a bird called a crowned lapwing that nests on the ground. Last time we saw their nest, there were 3 eggs in it. That was about 3 or 4 days ago. And when we drove past last night, there was only 1 egg remaining. So we're not sure what's happened to the other eggs. Maybe they've hatched, maybe they've been eaten by something. We're just going to go back and have a look if the final egg is still there, or possibly if there's any chicks floating around.